Over the weekend, there were many vigils across the country. There were so many vigils. There was a famous vigil last night at the Kennedy Center that millions of people tuned in to watch on the live stream. It feels like there is this revival happening across the country where people want to come together with like-minded individuals who have conservative values, common sense values, who share their faith. Even if they don't share the exact same faith, they know what they're not. Right? They know and are realizing what we're up against in this country. And so it's really warmed my heart to see how millions of people have come together. I mean, in some of these small towns, they're getting thousands, tens of thousands of people. I've never seen anything like this. In the Kennedy Center vigil, I was so upset and bummed that I couldn't be there. I really did feel a sense of FOMO because I've been feeling a little alone watching everything and feeling a little bit down. But even watching the live stream, I felt better after watching it. It didn't have a downer feel to it. There was something uplifting about it and trying to make the best of one of the most horrific situations. And how can we take what Charlie Kirk stood for? How can we take his messages and what he espoused and run with them and use them to make the country a better place? Because the last thing Charlie Kirk would want is for us to go and retreat and sit inside and not go out. And so people say, you know what? We're going to come gather. We're going to get together. The Kennedy Center event, as far as I understood, was free. It was packed to the gills. You had people in line trying to get outside. They had overflow. And this is in Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C., which we talk about all the time, is a deep blue area. Deep, deep, deep blue, about as deep as this background behind me. And they turned out thousands. They had to turn people away, which shows you there really is this revival happening. And then I heard from so many people over the weekend, they said, I haven't been to church in years. I haven't been to church at all. I want to go give it a try. I'm going to go to church and see if there's something there for me, if there's something I can glean in this moment. I actually got messages from some people saying, I don't know how to go to church. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. What, do you just show up? Yes. In almost every church, as far as I understand, you can just show up. As the churches I belong to, you can show up, you can get to know people, and it's usually a pretty inviting congregation. And there are also churches across the country, meaning people just getting together, right? There are folks who got together in prayer at these vigils, and that to me is church in and of itself, because it's people coming together for a common cause, to comfort each other, to give each other solace. And I think this Charlie Kirk situation just really hit people because President Trump's assassination attempt on July 13th in Butler, Pennsylvania, the subsequent assassination attempt with Ryan Ruth in Florida, he was able to escape death narrowly, right? President Trump was spared. Charlie Kirk was not. And so people are reeling, saying, what is the reason? What is the message here? What is the bigger plan, right? What are we supposed to learn from him? But even Charlie Kirk's social media, right? All of these videos where he would go around to college campuses speaking to people, his social media platforms have gained millions of followers. Charlie Kirk is bigger than ever. His message is reaching more people than ever before. In fact, we have these numbers, right? The organization Turning Point USA, they've received over 32,000 inquiries in the last 48 hours to start new campus chapters. So to put that in perspective, Turning Point USA currently has about 900 official college chapters and around 1,200 high school chapters, with the presence on about 3,500 total campuses. So the fact that tens of thousands of people are saying, we want to start a chapter, we want to sign up, we want to get young people involved in our values, this is a good thing. We're somehow turning a positive out of a horrific, devastating tragedy. I don't know how we're doing it, but people are coming together. And a lot of that is really being spearheaded by Erica Kirk, Charlie Kirk's wife. I don't know how she's walking around. I don't know how she's functioning. I think she really has the power coming through her. This is God working through her as a mother, showing up for her kids, showing up for the organization, and now having to show up for millions and millions of people who looked up to her husband and were disciples of her husband in a way. And so Erica Kirk, she addressed the nation the other night on Friday night. And if you follow me on social media, I did a video discussing this with some of my initial thoughts, but I want to play you a quick clip from Erica's address to the nation on Friday, and then we can talk a little bit more.
They killed Charlie because he preached a message of patriotism, faith, and of God's merciful love. But they should all know this. If you thought that my husband's mission was powerful before, you have no idea. You have no idea what you just have unleashed across this entire country and this world. You have no idea. You have no idea the fire that you have ignited within this wife The cries of this widow will echo around the world like a battle cry. To everyone listening tonight across America, the movement my husband built will not die. It won't. I refuse to let that happen. It will not die.
I'm unsure of how she even got up there and did that and had the courage and the strength to come out and face the nation and to speak directly to the people who were involved in the assassination of her husband, the father of her 2 young children. But I said in my video on Friday, there are millions of women and young moms and soon-to-be moms and grandmas all across the country who are going to see that address to the nation and realize we have to get up and fight even harder. I think there's so many women who are going to feel galvanized going into the midterms, going into 2028 to say, you know what? We have to defeat this leftist, deranged ideology that just put a bullet through Charlie Kirk. And I hate to be graphic, but people are rising up saying, no, we can't use kid gloves anymore. We have to get out and be even more organized than ever before. And women have largely been the organizers in politics, right? When it comes to door knocking and putting together caucuses and coalition, women are at the forefront of that. And I think Erica Kirk is going to spearhead that. I think she could be the first woman president of the United States. Everyone said she could be the first lady of the United States. Why not first female president? I think she'd be incredible. And I think the sky is the limit for her, especially in this moment of grief. I don't know how she's carrying on. But no, Erica Kirk's address to the nation was incredible. I said on Friday in my video as well on social media, I don't think there's a man with an ounce of testosterone who watched that address to the nation and didn't feel angry as well, right? If you're a man watching this woman who's lost her husband, the father of her children, you're going to come out of the woodwork and say, I have to get involved as well, and I can't just sit on the sidelines. And so I think it was one of the most incredible addresses to the nation. I think it will go down in history as one of the most consequential, as really an inflection point, a turning point, pun intended there. So no, I think Erica Kirk's speech to the nation was amazing, and the reaction online was overwhelmingly positive. Of course, there are deranged, disgusting people writing and smearing her on social media, and I pray for those people that they find peace in their souls, because you have to be pretty demonic and dark to say something nasty about a woman who just lost her husband and her kids, right? If your politics are so entrenched that you can't just understand that a woman is grieving and you want to write nasty things about her on social media, you really need help. You're really dark and sick person. But to go back to the vigil, I'm thinking now about the vigil they had at the Kennedy Center last night. There's actually a clip where Carrie Lake got up to speak. And Carrie Lake spoke about how a lot of these colleges and higher education institutions have become indoctrination camps, right? You send your kid to college, you want them to get a degree, you go to a 4-year university, the kid comes out indoctrinated, right? They're taught to hate their country, to hate everything they've known. And we see this at these Ivy League schools as well. You know, you send your kid to Columbia, Harvard, Penn, the kids come out radicals. The kids come out total radicals. They're wearing keffiyehs, they're chanting on the quad, free Palestine. Like, they basically come out radicalized and hating their own country time and time again. And we've seen this film before. And I put some pictures on my Instagram story last night on some of these college campuses, what we've seen the last few years. And so I've heard from so many moms and dads and grandmas who say, you know what? We don't really think we want to send our kids to college anymore. Unless college is absolutely necessary, why go rack up all this debt? You're 4 years behind, and then you're probably going to be taught by some radical leftist teacher who could be an adjunct professor, not even a full-time professor. You've got some TA who's espousing and pushing their values onto you. And then there's so many moms who have younger kids who say, you know what, we're homeschooling our kids. We're homeschooling our kids because can you trust them to not have access, fully unfettered access to the internet at school? Not really. Can you trust that the teacher's not going to try to indoctrinate or opine on them? Not really. And there's some incredible teachers out there, and there are many teachers who follow and watch me. I love my teachers. I love my educators. But they will tell you there's some pretty sick educators out there. In some of these Democrat cities, you see videos coming out where the teachers are teaching the kids all about 50 different pronouns, and you could be born in the wrong body. And once you put that into a little kid's head who's so malleable, impressionable, and who's a sponge, I think you got a recipe for trouble, a recipe for disaster. So there are many parents who say, you know what, we're either going to homeschool or send our kids to a school where we have more control and understanding of the curriculum, because you put your kids in class 8 hours a day minimum in front of someone you don't know that well. You don't know what they're going home and doing, don't know what they're doing on the weekends, don't know what they're searching up, and you sit your kid there. And I think now people are having a conversation, these really serious conversations, saying, we don't know. we don't know if we want to send our kids there. And if I had kids someday, if I have kids someday, I will really think about sending them to college. I don't know. I don't see the upside anymore. And I've spoken about trade schools and learning to, to be a carpenter, electrician, a plumber. Those are the folks who are going to be making seven figures. They're going to be making seven figures in the future because a lot of this younger generation, they don't know how to screw in a light bulb. And so, you have these kids who are going to college, they're graduating with debt, they have no jobs, no prospects, and they're just being indoctrinated for years in the classroom. I also think we're in a period now where there has to be more of an investigation into what's happening online, right? I'm all for people's privacy. I'm all about people's privacy. I don't want the government intervening on people's privacy and what they're searching and what they're looking up. But we might need more behavioral specialists or some folks from within the government or these federal agencies, these state agencies, monitoring these online social media groups, right? It's not infringing on anyone's privacy to monitor these social media groups because they're public groups. Some of these chat rooms and these servers, because you can probably watch a kid, all right? A video ends up in their feed. This is totally normal conservative kid like Tyler Robinson, right? Tyler Robinson, the assassin, grew up in a nice conservative family. He veered off course because maybe one video ends up in his feed. He watches that video. Because he watched that video, the algorithm's going to give him some more videos like that. Suddenly he's down a rabbit hole. Then he's looking for a community online. He joins a chat group. Then he joins another chat room. And then you can watch over time how someone gets pulled into extreme ideology and just loses touch with reality. You pour in a little bit of, when you're in your 20s, that's where mental health issues start to come in, especially for young men. You get into your early 20s, mid 20s, the issues start to creep in. And so you can see how a kid can go from normal upbringing, family sits down for dinner every night, loves his country, his siblings, his parents, and then he just slowly descends into this madness and this craziness and sort of this deranged woke ideology. And then you end up with a transgender furry boyfriend/girlfriend, which is basically what we're seeing, in my opinion. They say, as far as we understand, that Tyler Robinson, the assassin, was living with a transgender partner who was in the process of transitioning from male to female. But then there were also things written on the bullets, allegedly, that were furry jokes. And furries are those people who wear those costumes, the animated cartoon characters. You guys can look up what a furry is. I'm not in the best position to explain what a furry is because I'm not one. But I really think you can watch this kid, Tyler, who comes from an all-American normal family. And they spoke about this last night at the vigil. He goes to college. He gets full unfettered access to the internet through high school. His parents did let him use the internet as much as he wanted, as far as I understood from what we've seen online. And he just gets sucked into these chat rooms. And he gets sucked and pulled down these rabbit holes. And it happens all the time. And I think we need to be better at identifying some of these groups online, monitoring them, because then you can see what's going to happen. Because according to Kash Patel this morning, there was a text thread where he had written about Charlie. And then according to Kash Patel as well, the suspect had also written about taking out Charlie and another type of online environment. And then also, we have this information, this just came out a few minutes ago, the DNA on the towel matched the subject, Tyler Robinson. So for all intents and purposes, Tyler Robinson is the guy, right? Tyler Robinson is the killer as far as we know, according to the information at hand from Kash Patel. But I think we need to monitor more what these kids are consuming. Their brains are impressionable, their brains are sponges, and they're getting sucked into these rabbit holes now. Now, the funeral is set to take place Sunday, September 21st at State Farm Stadium, home of the Arizona Cardinals. The capacity is about 63,000 people. So this is going to be a huge stadium full of positivity and love. President Trump is attending. I think Secretary of State Marco Rubio has said he will attend. JD Vance, I imagine, will attend. And President Trump is set to give Charlie Kirk a Presidential Medal of Freedom. I don't know if he's going to drape it over the casket. I don't know if he's going to give it to Erica Kirk. What I do know is I will be emotional watching that. It will be very tough to watch. I think it'll be tough for so many people, but it's the job of the president and the vice president to shepherd us through these hard times and these scary, tumultuous times. And I trust that they will be there in a respectful way to carry us through. There's no one I would actually trust more at the helm right now than President Trump and JD Vance, because they understand the stakes. President Trump has been shot. He's been shot at multiple times. JD Vance is a Marine. He served this country. He knew Charlie Kirk well. And so I trust them more than any other president right now to shepherd us through this moment. Recently, I learned about colostrum, the very first milk known as liquid gold that babies receive from their mothers after birth, packed with proteins, natural growth factors, antimicrobial peptides that work to enhance your immune response, reduce inflammation, repair and balance gut lining, reduce bloating, and make your hair and skin look amazing. Today's sponsor, Cowboy Colostrum, offers the highest quality cow colostrum available in the US, 100% made in America from 100% American grass-fed cows. They don't overprocess or strip their colostrum, leaving it whole, full fat, and high protein for ultimate nutrient density. It's the highest quality bovine colostrum you can buy. Cowboy is easy to drink, made with delicious natural ingredients and no artificial flavors. Simply add a 3-gram scoop of either our chocolate, Madagascar vanilla, or strawberry into your coffee or smoothie. For a limited time, our listeners get up to 25% off their entire order. Just head to cowboycolostrum.com/link and use code LINK at checkout. That's 25% off when you use code LINK at cowboycolostrum.com/link. After you purchase, they will ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them that we sent you.